It's been inspiring for me. There's been a lot of actionables. I know I've talked with some of our peers in here, and they've echoed those things. But what's next? What's next? What's next for us as leaders in the organization? We've talked about different things happening with our caregivers. We've talked about different action items that we want to take. And so I want to share this slide with you. We've talked about hope. Talked about hope for our patients and their families. We talked about hope for our caregivers. What about our hope as well as leaders? And so this slide, you see in the middle, you see recruitment, engagement, and retention. And you just heard Suzanne talk about 12 months of onboarding. What does that process look like for our leaders, for our caregivers? There's a lot to come. And I just want to preface this slide by saying this is a trailer. Anybody going to see a new movie tonight? Okay, well, anyhow, if you go to the movies, there are some people that I know go specifically for the trailers. They heard this new trailer's coming out or that new trailer's coming out. I got to see it. I can't wait to see the movie. I want to preface this by saying it is a trailer. We hope this movie turns out the way that the trailer looks like right now. But in order for that to happen, something huge has to happen. When we look at that recruitment, engagement, and retention, you heard the number today, 46% first-year turnover. Anybody have a clue, because I know we have some of our finance folks in here, how much that costs the organization? Any idea? Because finance did a wonderful job and they got us an actual number. Over $9 million a year for first-year turnover that we're spending as an organization. If we cut that down in half, 23%, if we can get there, this will be a reality. Some of this is going to be a reality anyhow. Some of it's coming already. You see at the top, the new performance management system. That's the first movie that you get to see. Over the months of November and December, there are going to be caregiver communication sessions where they can come and hear about it. There's going to be learning for leaders. Well, you'll get to hear about it, also get to see the new model, become familiar, comfortable with it. That's going to happen. But you see there with the 12 months of onboarding, what does that mean? That's going to continue to be developed. For those wondering, BBI, that's behavioral-based interviews. You heard Jamie Yoakum talk about the cohorts that are already working on that. Some of our leaders, our directors, our managers, our supervisors that are linking those to our goals, ensuring that the people that we're bringing in already hear that alignment. The stay interviews, that's a buzzword. That's a buzzword throughout so many communities right now. What is it? Some of you have a clue. Some of you may have heard of it. Some of you may be using it and not realize it. What we want to try to do is standardize it throughout the organization so that we're doing it with results in mind. What are the results that we're trying to get? There's already about 50 leaders that have requested it. The cohort was going through. They started talking to their peers, some of them in this room, and they said, "What is that? I need it now." And so through the work of the Leadership Council, they put together some courses, almost just-in-time training for November, I believe that is. And I'm sure there's going to be more beyond that. And then the workforce planning, using data, knowing what's coming ahead, who we're going to lose through natural turnover, because there is some turnover that is natural, we know that, but also being able to look at some different things, who may be going to school, what can we do to bring them back? And so another thing that's going to be coming up, and you'll get to see the movie too, real soon, at least in the nursing world, because it's going to go by quarters, is the market reviews, proficiency assessment. You'll notice up there it says empowerment for caregivers through proficiency. Again, they've asked, how can I affect my pay? That's a big thing. I want to know my percentages. We wanted to get away from actual evaluations that at the end of the evaluation, what was I looking for? Well, I was looking for that percentage. What's the percentage my pay is going to increase? Not how can I grow and develop? How can I continue to be an owner in this organization? What does that mean for me? A big part of engagement. And so we've taken that money piece out of the top part, but still knowing that they get to own and have in their hands how their increases happen through competencies. And that's been collaborative work through a lot of you in this room. And then we have rewards and recognition, service, appreciation, bonuses, professional development and learning. A lot of great things that go back to that $9 million of making that happen. We hope to see those things come to light. We know some of them are going to happen over the next few months and be communicated. And then from there we go into future career development. How many in here, I've been here over 7 years now, have asked for a clinical ladder? Tons of hands raising. And what was the answer? No. No. Okay, I was in the HR division for about 4 years. I left and went to RVIS. There was a group, Suzanne Campbell, where are you at? Suzanne. Suzanne and I worked on an RIE that dealt with a clinical ladder. Had nothing to do with compensation. And we got a call. It was from HR. We got a call. And this is before Maureen Henson, yes. We got a call and they said, you cannot do anything with a career ladder, clinical ladder. And they called me because they knew me. And I said, okay, one, I'm facilitating this, but two, why? There was no response. It was just, you can't do it. You can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. So one of the first things when I got to partner with Mo is I said, clinical ladder would be amazing. And she said, well, I'm definitely open to that. And then there were some nursing leaders that came forward and they said, we want to do this. We want to do this. Are you open? And I knew her, so I was able to tell them, yes. We got that discussion. So it's in the preliminary stages. That is a huge ray of hope, I know, for a lot of people in this room and for the caregivers that you're working with. Preceptor program. We have them, but we're not rewarding and recognizing them. Those people that go above and beyond each and every day that are saying, hey, we're going to take on that extra because we care about our patients and their families and the level of care and the level of service that we're providing. We're going to take that extra responsibility. Well, we want to reward and recognize that because those people aren't doing it for money right now, but we want to give them different incentives. Bonuses, as well as education, certifications, emerging leaders. Certifications, okay, that's a huge one. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could reward those people that are continuing to grow? We're asking them to do it, and they're going out and they're doing it anyways, and yeah, we're giving them money to pay for that certification, but what about when they get it? To be able to do that. And then the top part we've started to talk about today. Lead Now, leadership development. Regional Health Center for Learning and Innovation. One of our values is innovation. What does that mean? What does it mean to me? It means being a critical thinker, looking and saying, what can become? What can become? And that's hard to do. I know what I know over the last 7 years. I've heard a lot. I had the luxury of being up here presenting a lot, saying, this is it. We're going to do it, right? Remember the regional way? Okay? But we didn't embrace it as a culture, as a whole. We had pockets that embraced it. And that's what's gotten us to where we are, which is pretty good. But we can do a lot better when we embrace it as a whole. And so hope for me is knowing that we have leadership. We're not hierarchical, but we have leadership that are in those top executive positions that support it, that brought this Lead Now model, that said, this is what our leaders are going to be. This is what we want them to be. But we don't want to tell them. We want them to be a part of creating it. And then promotion checklist. We have so many people that say, what does that mean? And you saw down there where it talked about emerging leaders. I just talked to someone from CCI the other day. Amazing individual. She's an RN. She just finished her master's a few months ago, master's in healthcare administration. And she said, I love what I do. I love this organization, but I'm not sure about my next steps, my next opportunity. And so one of the business partners brought that to me, and I said, I want to talk with this person. I want to let them know. And so I sat down and I talked with her about the Emerging Leaders Program and what that means. And again, this is a preview, so you're probably saying, tell us what it means. You'll get more details later. But what it means is it's a career path for her. Doesn't mean she's going to be in a leadership role next year, 2 years, 3 years, but it's going to be an opportunity for her. And I also asked her to help develop it. And I was so excited to see the look on her face when she walked out, and she said, I don't need to leave now because I know that there is that opportunity, and it's not just being spoken. So we're at a crossroad. We're at a crossroad today. We have some people that aren't here, because they had prior commitments. We had some people that decided not to be here on their own. This was not mandatory. You heard Daniel Stewart. He said one of the development principles, it shouldn't be mandatory. We should want it. So we want to go from where we know a finance-driven culture, hierarchical, transactional, to what we see on the other side. Balance of our goals, bold, brave, transparent, leads with a sense of urgency. We've been moving fast. You heard Brent talk about the list today. But what does that mean for each and every one of us? And transformational. And what excites me is this side of the list. To this, I can tell you that those members of the Leadership Council that stood up here today, they're there. They're there and they're ready. They're ready for each and every person in this room to join us. So they have no idea that I'm about to ask them to do this, but all the Leadership Council members, come up here with me right now, please. I'm going to ask the rest of you to stand up because I really want you to hear this. It's towards the end of the day. I know we're comfortable. There's a lot going on. You're going to see up there what we identified as leaders in the organization right now. And I'm glad to say a lot of them are right down there at the end where it says, where do I sign up? But there's some folks, unfortunately, that we had to put up here that said, really, I've heard this before. It won't last, but I will. Another flavor of the month, tell me clear cut what I need to do. We've identified those as renters. Okay? No more. No more as we look at that today, and we look at lead now, not as a noun, but a verb, an action verb. What does that mean? Because I've been here for 7 years. I know we've had the flavor of the month. I know it's come and it's gone, and we said, this sounds great, but it's not going to last. And we've had some of those people last here as leaders. And then we see the ones that are interested. It sounds good. I want to know more. So they're right there on the verge. And then we have people like Kathy. And you see that quote there. I believe in what I do here. I believe in the team I work with. I know we're making a difference. Kathy works in Spearfish. She's a part of the I Am Regional campaign. She doesn't have a title, but she's a leader in this organization. She's somebody that believes we can get to be the best healthcare nation, best healthcare organization in the nation. I believe it. I know this group believes it. These individuals up here have taken time away from their families to put this together. It's my job. It's my job as part of HR to work on leadership development, to work on those different things. These individuals, I get emails at 9 o'clock at night because they're working on the curriculum. They're working on the communication. They believe in it. They put themselves out there as bold, brave, transparent, creating a sense of urgency. So with that being said, I want to ask all of you to make that decision. Some of you have already made it. You know, you're there right now. But if you're unsure, make that decision today. Have that action item. Walk out of here and say, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set that meeting with Paul, who we know is not an idiot, right? And some of the people that he works with. Hopefully we'll be setting up meetings with you on Monday, Paul, to let's talk about that first dimension and what that means, because I know I can make it to this. I know I can make the balance. Because most people would say right now we do a pretty good job of business results, but we're lacking in these people results. And the data shows it. So with that said, I encourage you to take that action, to go, to set up that meeting, and to start. And it's an everyday process. And if we're truly living it, we're going to be meeting here a year from now with a completely different culture. I believe it. They believe it. I know there's others that believe it. Join us. So with that being said, thank you all. I'm going to hand it over to Brent to close us out for the day.